Welcome to Construction Cashflow. I'm your host, Stu Davidson, and if you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode.
If you work with people who value what you do, who think and feel the same way that you do and believe in the same things that you do, that relationship will prosper. You've got to work hard to identify who those clients are or main contractors are. When you get to a kind of situation where you know the fit is not right, then the best thing to do is don't play the game. You know, it's their game, they change the rules. If the rules don't suit you, don't play the game. And I said to my client at the time, just watch, further down the line, you're going to be getting a call soon. And they got the call, and it was basically, love what you're doing great work for us, but we need you to take a 10% cut on your fees. And my client's saying, but you love what we're doing, and you know, we're adding value, and you know, you really like it, and your people like working with us. Yeah, we know that, but you know, everybody else is taking a cut, you need to take a cut. So I got the phone call from my client. You know, you were right, this is what's happening now, what do I do? I said, your call, your business, but if I was you, I would walk away, because the phone call will come further down the line where they'll be asking you to take a further cut. And what happens is they become a bigger percentage of your turnover, and then you're caught. You know, you can't walk away, and you soon end up working for nothing. He took a very brave decision at the time and said, thank you, I'm walking away. And he walked away, that was fine, and it was absolutely the right decision for his business. Not that long after, this client came chapping on the door again and said, look, you know, we made a mistake there, really like to work for you. And you know, my client did go back and start work for them, but you know, it was never taken advantage of again. You know, it used to really surprise the hell out of me that some of these big corporates didn't actually have a clear strategy, and if it did, it was in the chief executive's head and it wasn't shared or communicated to anyone else. And I just, you know, as I say, it used to astound me. Nothing surprises me anymore.
In this show, we ask our guests to tell us their story, tell us a little bit about their background, how they got to where they are today, how they developed their product, their services, their ideas. And we discuss how that can affect construction cash flow and other areas of construction. And also to give us an idea of how we might make things better and give you a few tips and ideas to take away with you. And listen to the end where you'll find out more about them, more about our guests, about what motivates them, what inspires them, and hopefully that'll inspire you too. And always, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss another episode. In this episode, I have the pleasure of introducing you to Paul McDevitt. Paul originally had an academic background in economics and finance before quickly moving into construction, for which he has many years' experience. Paul became the regional marketing manager for Mansell Construction back in the day, and then went on to become an expert in construction business turnarounds, marketing strategy, and business strategy. Paul now runs the Positive Action Club for business leaders and company professionals. And so it's, without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Paul McDevitt. Hi Paul, it's really great to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm well, Stu. Nice to be here.
So tell us about your story. Tell us how you got to where you are now, and maybe some of the challenges that you faced along the way, and some of the successes.
Okay, I'll try and summarise that. It's been quite a long and varied career. I started off, my background's in economics with finance. I was going to be an accountant, but kind of seen the light and decided after I completed my degree that really wasn't for me. I was then offered a job as a marketing manager for a regional contractor, and I kind of wasn't sure about it, but I took the job because it was, local to where I lived. I said to my wife at the time, I'll give this 6 months and then I'll get a real job. I spent 2 years with that contractor. I was then headhunted by a company called Mansell, which is now part of the Balfour Beatty empire. And I spent 6 years at Mansell as their regional marketing manager for the business in central Scotland. I was part of the new senior management team that was brought in to turn around an ailing business that had lost a significant amount of money the year before. I helped develop the strategy that turned that business around. Within a year we were back at break even, and within 18 months we were one of the best performing divisions in the whole of Mansell, and we managed to sustain that for the next 3 years, which was really good. At that point in time, I wanted to do an MBA, and Mansell very kindly agreed to fund it, and they were dangling the carrot. They were going to make me a director. Unfortunately, I got made redundant, unbeknownst to me, as the Mansell family wanted to get their money out and put the business up for sale, and I was seen as an overhead, which was a bit disappointing, but these things happen. So at that point, I was in the midst of an MBA, got a wife and 2 kids to support, and I decided this is the best time to start up on my own. So I set up a business consultancy specialising in the construction industry called Business Fix, and myself and a business partner, ran that together for the next kind of 14 years. That was a real challenge. I mean, we worked across the industry. We worked with contractors of all shapes and sizes. We worked with architects, engineers, quantity surveyors. We worked with the professional bodies, the trade associations. We even worked with the Scottish Government. So, with a really good understanding of what it took to be successful in the industry. And when we kind of first started out, we were helping businesses develop their marketing strategies, as we were both chartered marketers at the time. And what we very quickly discovered was not only did they not have marketing strategies, didn't have any strategies at all. So we helped businesses start to develop their strategies. We get heavily involved through, obviously, when the financial crash happened, it was all about winning work. So we got on board with that. We developed a number of training programs to help people complete tenders and PQQs. And we were really successful at that. We ended up helping businesses win over £2 billion worth of construction work. So that was really good. I say, the financial crash was a challenge for everyone, and we had days where we lost contracts, or projects were cancelled because clients couldn't afford them anymore. And so it was a challenge for everyone. But thankfully we came through that. My business partner, was significantly older than me, decided he wanted to kind of start to wind down. And at that point, I'd get offered an opportunity by a client of mine, a mechanical and electrical business, who asked me to go away and think about what I wanted to do and what it would take to get me to join. So it's not often you get the opportunity to design your own role. So I joined that. This business was part of a larger kind of global technical services business that owned 6 different businesses in the UK. And after about a year or so, I got promoted onto the main board of that business, and I spent the next kind of 5 years there, leading the marketing function initially, and then I set up a building advisory service division, which was basically a data management company. So that was really good. But I say after 5 successful years, we decided to part company, and I fell back into consultancy again in 2022. So set up my own consultancy, picked up a few clients. A few of them are kind of turnaround situations. So I'm really enjoy that kind of stuff. I've got a few non-exec director roles that I'm involved in, again, which I really like. Some of them are startup companies, so I really do like working with young entrepreneurs and helping to shape their in the future kind of direction. And more recently, in the start of 2023, I launched a new business called the Positive Action Club, which is basically a virtual peer-to-peer support network for business leaders from the public, private and third sector. So yeah, exciting times. It's not been easy to get here. There's been a number of setbacks kind of along the way, but these things are sent to challenge you, and you can either curl up in a ball and feel sorry for yourself, or you roll your sleeves up and you get stuck in. And I prefer to get stuck in.
Yeah, so you an amazing long career, huge amount of experience, and you must have seen it. You must have seen it all, from looking at turning businesses around, small businesses, larger businesses, and what do you see, or what do you look for? The first thing, if you look at a business, maybe it's got some trouble, some problems. What is it you kind of look for when you go into a business with the business owner in terms of looking to turn it around, if it's turnaroundable, that is?
Yeah, not you're right. Not every business is salvageable. It all comes down to people. I'm a great believer in values, so it's looking at the values of the leader, the management team. Do they have a good set of values? Are they similar to my own values? Because if they're not, then it's unlikely to be a kind of productive relationship. So that's what I look at. I look at do they have a clear product offering? Are they good at what they do? And if they kind of tick all those boxes, then there's a real opportunity to do something with them. What I kind of find is, a lot of businesses get to a kind of situation, they've been really successful, and then something changes in the marketplace and they don't really know how to respond to it. Again, over the number of years I've been in the construction industry, people are really, really good technically. They're good architects, they're good engineers, good contractors. Doesn't mean to say they're necessarily good business people. As I say, we worked for businesses from one-man bands up to some of the very large corporates. And it used to really surprise the hell out of me that some of these big corporates didn't actually have a clear strategy. And if it did, it was in the chief executive's head and it wasn't shared or communicated to anyone else. And I just, as I say, it used to astound me. Nothing surprises me anymore.
You'd think that a large corporate that got to that size would have a strategy going forward, but nobody's too big to fail, are they?
I say I used to, before I kind of got involved in business, I used to think that anyone that was running a business was incredibly smart, and I've came across businesses and people who have been unbelievably successful, and a lot of it comes down to just luck and timing. They've been in the right place at the right time with an offering that is in demand, and that's fantastic. But we all know nothing stays the same. Circumstances always change. The market changes. Recessions come and go, and it's how do you respond and adapt to them. And what I kind of find is a lot of businesses don't have that ability to adapt. They stick to what they know. And the ones who thrive are the ones who can adapt the best to changing circumstances. So, as I say, when I get involved with a business, does the business leader have the passion for what they do? Are they prepared to roll up the sleeves? And if they are, then you've got something there to work with. And as I say, the chances of success are significantly higher than someone who is kind of wedded to the way they've always done stuff. What's the worst saying in the world? This is the way we've always done it.
Yeah, you've absolutely got to be. We've all got to be flexible, particularly with the pace of technology now and machine learning, and to keep pace, and be flexible. The world's changing so much. There seems to be a groundswell of movement and interest in what holds up cash flow in construction. And but it's been very, you know, I think the construction industry punches well below its weight in terms of wealth creation and the slow payment culture. What do you see? I mean, how can a business that's in the construction industry improve its on one side of the fence, if it's down the chain as a subcontractor, how can it improve its cash flow when we've got long payment terms? But also, is there anything we can educate higher up the chain, you know, the funders, developers, main contractors, in terms of actually it's your benefit to pay quicker? Is there anything in that mix, do you think, that would make it better than it's been traditionally at all?
As you say, the kind of current situation, I don't believe sustainable. Main contractors, they survive on the efforts of the specialist contractors, and without them, it's unlikely to have a business. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense that, you know, they introduce these long payment terms. You know, they don't pay, they try and look for discounts at every opportunity, affectionately known as subby bashing. In my view, such a short-term philosophy. I do think the industry really struggles, and I've seen this at all levels across, you know, all sectors of the industry. I think there's a serious lack of commercial awareness within a lot of organisations. You know, they don't understand the contracts that they sign. They sign up to terms and conditions that are, you know, absolutely ridiculous. They're totally skewed in favour of the client or the main contractor. There's no doubt there's clear evidence that a lot of these contracts is now, you know, a tactic in order for the main contractor or the client to make money, and unfortunately it's at the expense of others. So yeah, I think, you know, the industry, because of its fragmented nature, it's easy for unscrupulous clients or unscrupulous main contractors to take advantage. What people need to do is, you know, they certainly need to be much more commercially aware. They need to know when to be able to walk away. There are always opportunities out there. You know, my view is, and you know, I've mentioned values. You want to work with people who share similar value systems to you. If you don't, then, you know, the likelihood of the relationship being, you know, mutually beneficial is zero. If you work with people who value what you do, who think and feel the same way that you do and believe in the same things that you do, that relationship will prosper. The trouble is, you've got to work hard to identify who those clients are or main contractors are, but it's definitely worth doing. And when you get to a kind of situation where you know the fit is not right, then the best thing to do is don't play the game. You know, it's their game. They change the rules. If the rules don't suit you, don't play the game.
Yeah, great advice. And I'm seeing that advice coming through more and more. And it does seem to be that movement now where, you know, subcontractors are being encouraged to walk away, being encouraged to say no, being encouraged to get somebody to have a look over the contract for them. Subbies will say, well, yeah, it's the only job I've got. I don't want to rock the boat, and I know it's unfair terms, but I'm going to sign up to it. I mean, how do you get somebody to really believe in their own value in terms of what they provide as a service or a product? It's very much a mindset.
There's no doubt it is a mindset. I mean, one of the first things I ask, you know, clients is, how do they add value? Why do clients come to you? And you'd be absolutely amazed the number of people actually struggle to be able to define that. You need to know how you add value, and if you don't appreciate how you add value, then, you know, somebody is always going to find a way of taking advantage. You know, if you don't know what your worth is, then, you know, you get drawn into these, you know, stupid games, and you end up playing a game that you're just never going to win. Once people actually realize that, you know, they've got value, and, you know, they can make a difference, then I'd say you start working with like-minded organisations, then your chances of success, you know, they'll appreciate what you do. You know, they'll see the value that you add to their business, and, you know, they'll recognise that, you know, if they want to be successful, you need to be successful too, and it should be a win-win situation. And if it's not a win-win situation, then, you know, my view is walk away. And I accept, it's easy for me to sit here and, on the sidelines and say, just walk away. When you're sitting there and you've got bills to pay and, people to pay, it's difficult. But, at some point, you do have to make a decision. And, if you don't walk away, then it can be the difference between surviving and not. So sometimes, you just have to face reality. There's plenty of examples out there of, big organizations who, I had a client once who was an architect, got a phone call from a retailer saying, really like what you're doing, want you to come and work for us. We've got plenty of work for you. So the client said, or my client said, yep, that's great. So they started working. They were working really well, getting plenty of turnover from this client. Then the phone call came, and it inevitably came in. I said to my client at the time, just watch, further down the line, you're going to be getting a call soon. And they got the call, and it was basically, love what you're doing great work for us, but we need you to take a 10% cut on your fees. And my client's saying, but you love what we're doing, and we're adding value, and you really like it, and your people like working with us. Yeah, we know that, but everybody else is taking a cut. You need to take a cut. So I got the phone call from my client. You were right. This is what's happening now. What do I do? I said, your call, your business. But if I was you, I would walk away, because the phone call will come further down the line where they'll be asking you to take a further cut. And what happens is they become a bigger percentage of your turnover, and then you're caught. You can't walk away, and you soon end up working for nothing. He took a very brave decision at the time and said, thank you, I'm walking away. And he walked away. That was fine, and it was absolutely the right decision for his business. Not that long after, this client came chapping on the door again and said, look, we made a mistake there, really like to work for you. And my client did go back and start work for them, but it was never taken advantage of again.
And that's a really, really good message, Paul, that hopefully the people that are listening will take that on board. It takes a little bit of bravery, but if you recognize, as you said earlier, if you recognize your own value, understand why you stand out. And really it comes back to what you mentioned earlier. You look at the marketing and the commercial side that many construction and professional businesses don't have. They don't necessarily work with clients that are a good fit. They don't know how to work out whether they're a good fit. And they become commoditized. And I've fallen for it myself in my quantity surveying business, in that I've allowed myself to become commoditized at times that, I can get a QS down the road for half the price. And it's very difficult when you're in that situation to actually feel that you have a value. And I think I've progressed now to, well, if you're saying that to me, you don't really value what I'm bringing to the table. So we're probably not a good fit. So let's walk away. And then look for a client and focus my marketing on clients that see the value in what I do, or would rather work with me because they like working with me and I like working with them. Yep. And we have something of value for each other. But I think the thing to realize is not everyone is going to see your value, and it's being able to determine that at an early stage and walk away, like you say.
I'd say it's easy for me to kind of sit here and say, this is what you should do. When you're, as you say, you've got bills to pay and staff to pay, that makes these kind of decisions, much more difficult. But I think, you've got to be, you've got to kind of do your homework. You've got to know what, an organisation's reputation is in the marketplace. With technology now, it's, you just need to go onto the internet. You can find whatever you want to know about an organisation, whether, they're good, bad, how often are they in court. These things are readily available. So if and you hear in the marketplace, or you're talking to other subcontractors or suppliers, and they're saying, look, we're struggling to get paid here, just don't do it. You might have to work a little bit harder to go and find, a decent client, but, I say, just don't play the game. If you've got a really decent client, then the onus is on you to make sure that you build that relationship. That it's mutually beneficial, and that whatever work the streams they have, they come your way because you're good for one another. You're there to support one another, through thick and thin. And those opportunities are there. Those clients do exist. I go back to when I worked at Mansell. Mansell worked for, and certainly in Central Scotland, for a large number of the universities. And there was one particular university. We dug them out of holes. I don't know how many times, bent over backwards. Accelerated programs, and you're working for peanuts compared to what other universities were paying. And we eventually took the decision. Sorry, it's not a level playing field here. We're a national contractor and we're competing with one man in a van. It's just not sustainable. So thank you very much. Don't send us any more opportunities. And fine. It clearly didn't go down well, but that was a commercial decision we took, and it was absolutely the right commercial decision because we were getting phone calls from their project managers to say, this is a disaster. Why are you guys not working? We liked working with you guys. So, well, the situation, and until circumstances change at your end, we ain't playing the game. Eventually, the university come back, and the terms we got and the margins we could make were improved, but they were still, there was nothing compared to other universities where, at that point in time, we had the opportunity to negotiate, opportunities. And if you get the opportunity to negotiate, you're going to take something where you're competing against 5-10 other people. No chance.
Great advice, Paul. So I think there's quite a lot to be said for companies or small business owners collaborating together and talking about who are good clients or where's the best markets, and really getting the voice out there, because I think clients, when they know that subcontractors or contractors are being a bit more selective about who they work with, they've obviously clearly got to improve their game as well and say, look, with this supply chain, it's not about us and them. This is about working together as a team. I think it would change things. So so tell us a bit more about the Positive Action Club and why you set that up, and what's it for, who's it for, what's it set up to do?
The Positive Action Club was set up for decision makers, regardless of sector or industry. If you're a decision maker, you have a problem or a challenge that you face, whether it's you in your role or the business faces, then the Positive Action Club basically brings 6 other like-minded individuals together on a monthly virtual call, and they are there to help and support one another, develop resolutions to those issues. It's based on a program that myself and my business partner developed way back in 2005. We were asked to tender for a pilot program that was run on behalf of the Sector Skills Council. CITB were project managing it, and there was 3 pilots, one in Scotland that we ran, one in Nottingham, one in Guildford. At the end of the process, Henley Management College independently evaluated the programmes, and at the end of that they said ours had developed or generated the best engagement levels and the best outcomes for participants. Now, Positive Action is based on the principles of action learning, which is a tried, tested and trusted process of engagement. Peer support has been around for since the 60s. So it's recognised. Unfortunately, it's more recognised in the continent than it probably is here in the UK. But that's changing. So the club, we decided, at the end of the programme, the idea was that the government would fund these programmes on behalf of the Sector Skills Council. Fortunately, the money wasn't available, so that didn't happen. My business partner and I then ran a number of programmes through the course of 2006, 2007, where we had over 60 business leaders participate from, as I say, all sectors. In the pilot programme, we had an architect, a quantity surveyor, a financial services company, an accountant, an international digital animation company, a clothing manufacturer, a craft baker, And you're kind of sitting thinking, what are these guys going to learn from one another? But it became very, very apparent very quickly that the issues were all the same. The scale complexity might be different, but the issues were the same. And that diversity is what makes the Positive Action Club so effective. So as I say, we ran the programs. The 60 odd business leaders went through it. The successes were superb. We've seen businesses pull back from the brink. We've seen businesses double, treble in size. We've seen businesses develop new markets, enter new markets. People sorting out succession planning. You name the issue, Positive Action Club can help you deal with it. But at that time, timing is everything. The programs were going well. Unfortunately, the financial crash happened. And these programs were expensive to deliver. You were taking people away from the office for, probably 6 days over the course of kind of 6 months. They were held in hotels. There was catering. It was expensive to run. At that point in time, the only thing that mattered was about winning work. That's all companies were interested in. And, so we decided to park the program and go away and help our clients win work. And we did that. So when I kind of set up again in 2022, I was kind of thinking, what did I enjoy? What was, the most effective thing I'd been involved in? And it came back to me, Positive Action Club. I loved it. It was a great experience. I learned so much from it. I met some, fantastic people. And I just thought, that was brilliant. But I kept going back to it was expensive. How do we make it work? And it kind of dawned on me, we've got, if there's anything positive come out of the kind of pandemic was, the ability for people to work remotely and the technologies, progress significantly. So, these kind of sessions are much easier to hold. And I thought, that's going to make it much more affordable, much more accessible. So I'm going to set this up again. I went away, I spoke to previous participants to ask them their opinion and views. And the feedback I got was, what's taking you so long? You should have been doing this years ago. And yeah, probably should have, to be honest. But, the feedback I've been getting, I've been talking to a number of, individuals. Everyone I've spoken to, can absolutely see the merit in it. I've spoken to a number of industry bodies and trade federations. And again, they are really supportive and, they're going to help me promote it to their members. So yeah, there's kind of hopefully there is real exciting times ahead.
So how could the listeners find out a bit more about the Positive Action Club? It sounds amazing, and I think it's really, really important for them to have. And particularly, I can't think of anyone more experienced and more qualified to run one as your good self. And I think they'll get a lot out of it from you and from each other. And as you say, business has many facets. Construction people tend to look at, I'm a constructor first, or I'm a chippy first, or I'm an electrician first, or an architect might say I'm an architect first, or a QS might say I'm a QS. But that doesn't keep them in business, does it? It's, can I do marketing? Do I know about business? Can I read the balance sheet? What's my exit strategy? Because sometimes we hold on to our businesses like they're our baby, but it's not. That's not a business, is it? Your business has to run on its own. You have to think about, can it? I always think, set a business up as if you're going to sell it, and then you get the systems in place. How could they find out more about the Positive Action Club, Paul?
Visit the Positive Action Club website, www.positiveactionclub.com. There's plenty of information there. There's testimonials from previous participants. We're also running on a monthly basis taster sessions where people can register, fill out the form on the website. They can register to attend one of the free taster sessions, and they get the opportunity to see the process that PAC uses in practice. They can also hear previous participants share their experiences and what they got out of it. And, as I say, they get the opportunity to kind of really ask questions and participate. So we held our first taster session last week. It was very well received, and we've got a number of people who have expressed interest. So, yeah, I'm really encouraged by that. If people want to, have an informal chat, then my contact details are on the website. More than happy, no obligation, no hard sell. Just talk it through. I recognise, it's not going to be for everyone, but equally, I recognise being a business leader or being a decision maker can be a very, very lonely place. I experienced that myself. As I say, setting up consultancy. Before I'd worked with a business partner. This time I'm out on my own, and I did. Unfortunately, somebody pointed out to me after I said I thought I'd lost my mojo. They said, "No, you haven't lost your mojo. You just don't like working on your own." And I'm thinking, hadn't thought of that, but you're absolutely right. And I'm pretty certain there's plenty of other people out there like me who, find it difficult, and they don't have anyone, they can kind of turn to it. And the beauty of PAC is, everyone's there to support one another. It's a safe, it's a friendly, it's a non-judgmental environment. Everyone's there to support one another. Everyone's there with their own issues that they want to deal with. And PAC helps them, peel back the layers. What we find is people come to the table with an issue, and it tends to be a kind of symptom of a more deep-rooted kind of issue. And PAC helps them peel back the layers. It also, PAC encourages people to create a personal action plan that they share with the group at every virtual session. They then go away and work on that. There's one-to-one coaching involved in PAC as well. So you've got the opportunity to share with your coach, if there's any issues, implement your action plan. There may be issues that you don't particularly want to share with the group, but you do want to kind of air them. And, and so, as I say, the one-to-one coaching is there. And that combination of, the group sessions and the one-to-one coaching creates a really powerful driver for change.
And what I'll do, Paul, I'll also put a link to the PAC website on the Construction Cashflow website as well, with the recording for the podcast, so they can contact you via that as well.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Much appreciated.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. So, Paul, have you time for a quick fire round?
Yeah, let's give it a go.
First question then. How do you start your day?
I hit my alarm clock for 7 o'clock every morning. Usually I manage to beat that. If the weather's good, I like to either go out on my road bike or I get on the turbo trainer and I'll go out and do 20 miles, come back, shower, breakfast. Yeah. And by that time, I kind of almost feel that I've done a day's work, because there's no better way of just kind of thinking and planning, what's ahead of the day, how you're going to deal with, whatever issues or challenges you have that day, and it really gets you focused. So, yeah, that's what I like to do. Don't get me wrong, if it's raining, I'll just go into my sunroom and go on the turbo trainer. Well, I'm a fair weather cyclist.
When are you most productive?
Morning. I've always been a morning person. As I say, I usually beat the alarm, and on the occasions I don't beat the alarm, I don't lie about and put the alarm on snooze. I'm straight out of bed and I'm ready to go. So yeah, morning's always the best time for me.
What's something new happening in your life right now?
Not new, but a year or so ago, I bought an old villa on the Clyde coast, and I'm in the process of refurbishing that, and it's really challenging my DIY or lack of DIY skills. I mean, really challenging, but we're getting there.
What does adventure look like to you?
By nature, I'm not a traditionalist, so I like to try new things. I like to go new places. I really do like, meeting new people. So anything new, anything that kind of takes me out of my comfort zone, I'm happy to give it a go.
What thing would you love to do that might surprise your friends and family?
Yeah, lots of things. I'd love to go or try hang gliding. I love flying. I love the sensation of flying. The only slight downside or drawback is I'm incredibly scared of heights, and the older I get, the more scared I get. Even driving over road bridges now, I find myself trying to hold my breath and white knuckles. So how I'd ever manage to hang glide, I don't know, but I would love to give it a go.
Name a challenge you overcome that changed your life.
I think getting made redundant from Mansell was, I didn't see it coming. As I say, they were dangling the carrot and making me a director, paying for my MBA. And it came for a real kind of bolt from the blue. And I'd got a couple of job offers, and it was actually my brother-in-law said to me, because I talked about doing my own thing, he said, see, if you don't do it now, you'll never do it. But the timing was not ideal. A wife, 2 young kids, a mortgage, and having to pay for an MBA. But what it did do is it helped focus the mind, and it shows you if you focus your mind, then you can achieve most things.
Who or what inspires and motivates you?
I think what inspires me is people who face adversity and then they prevail through their determination or because they've got a strategy or a plan. I'm a big football fan, so at the moment I'm a real advocate of Ange Postecoglou from Celtic. He inherited a shambles of a team. He came in, he was written off, he was a total unknown in the UK. He came in with his own style, he stuck with it. The results initially were not positive, and the media was absolutely on his back and suggesting he would be gone by Christmas. That season they won the league, and they won the League Cup. This season they've been he stuck by his principles. He's playing really, really attacking, free-flowing football. It's great to watch. Okay, they didn't do particularly well on terms results-wise in the Champions League, but for 60 minutes they were all over Real Madrid. So they're playing really well. They're 9 points ahead in the league. They've just won the League Cup. They've got the opportunity for the treble, and fingers crossed. But as I say, there's a man sticks by his principles, believes in what he's doing, and he isn't going to get distracted. And I think that's a great example, and it's it's true in sport as it is in life and as in business.
What does success mean to you?
Freedom, choice. It's an opportunity to do the things you want to do. It's an opportunity to give something back, to get involved in things. If you've got success, and you're financially secure, you don't need to kind of play the game. You can be independent. You can go and do your own thing, whatever that happens to be. So yeah, that's what success means for me.
What advice would you give to your young self?
Yeah. Many's a time I've said don't get involved in the construction industry, but no, that's not true. As I said to my wife, I'll give her 6 months, I'll get a real job, and 25 plus years, I'm still heavily involved in construction, and I wouldn't change it for the world. It's a phenomenal industry. My advice would be believe in yourself. Surround yourself with positive people. And don't take yourself too seriously or take life too seriously. Life's about having fun and sharing it with like-minded people. So yeah, I think initially you've got to believe in yourself.
Well, thank you, Paul. Thank you so much for that. What an amazing story you've got. So much experience, story, and motivation, inspiration. I know I've taken some away with me as well in terms of what you've been saying. So thanks so much for coming on the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for the opportunity.
You've been listening to Construction Cashflow. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so you never miss an episode. And remember, the faster cash flows, the faster wealth grows. And don't forget, if you enjoyed the show, give us a rating and review.